Hello everyone, and welcome to what I call the Astro Tarot reading. I might be using this here so I can point out because there's going to be a lot of cards laid out for you, right? We got 12 here to start with. And since I call it the Astro Tarot, it's a spread that I developed, maybe 15 years or more so ago. As an astrologer, I like to look at the 12 different placements of the areas that we're going to be expressing and interacting with. Then I'm going to do 2 more rounds upon it because the one round is the first layer. And if we just look at the one card, well, we can express that, but where is it going to go? Where is it going to develop, right? So that is why I love to use a lot of cards. I do this in my phone readings when I talk to you as well. So we're going to see where this is going to go. Now, in the astrology reading, we did speak a little bit about the coronavirus. I'm going to try to not go too much here unless it shows up, but only so that we could see what it's going to do for us collectively, right? But let's take a look at this first round. We have the first placement, which is you, your personal self, your personality, the I am of who we are. Well, we get the 6 of Pentacles, and that shows that we're balancing very much now our values, not just money values, which of course Pentacles do represent, but it's also the values that we hold. What is important to us? Is it emotional? Is it practical? Is it material? And so forth. We're scaling what is important to us. You, I, everybody is looking at this balance. And of course the world right now, as we speak, it is March 13th today, we're looking at what is important. And of course that could also be about our financial situation, people not necessarily being able to travel to certain countries. We're in a lockdown right now. So we're looking at what's worth it. Now, second place house is, again, our values, our worth. Okay, so here's double whammy about worth. It's all about you finding your strength, all right? Whether that means if you're going to have to self-quarantine or, stay a few feet away from everybody that you speak to, whatever it is that works for you to contain that strength of yours, that is what is going to be super, super important to you. Your higher self knows what is good for you, what is good for the family, and so forth. And it's all about staying strong, staying healthy, eating the right things. Now, if you could just load up on a lot of lemon with ginger and turmeric, those things will keep you super strong and healthy as well. But we're also looking at the strength of your income. Second house in astrology is all about our income, the money that we make, right? So we'll see a potential of that expanding. Now, if you listen to the astrological forecast, you'll know that Jupiter and Pluto are conjuncting. They're coming together here on the 1st, and or the last few days there of March and into those first few days of April. Those two together really show a lot of strength as far as being able to expand financially. This is showing up in your second house, so this is a month which could be really good for paying attention to how can you make money and strengthen your income. The third house is all about communication. It's also your neighbors and your siblings and the community around you. So it looks like you've had a lot of thoughts and will continue to be having a lot of thoughts of how you could grow this aspect of your community. Who's around you? Sometimes it takes a crisis for people to draw close and near. And it looks like the prior month in March, you've been growing this aspect and you're going to be launching it into April. You're going to be continuing to cultivate the values that are important, the values that you yourself put on a scale, right? What is important, what's not important. So you could see you've already developed it to this point and you're communicating the scale of your values. Home and family is in the 4th place. We got the moon, and the 4th placement in your chart is all about foundation and security and family. And so you could see here there's a long and winding path where there's been a longing for you to be with family or share something with your family. It's very emotional. Of course, this is probably also you praying that your family members will be safe if you are separated, right, by, say, cities, states, or even countries. The common denominator you have is that wherever the moon is in the night sky, you're both looking at it, right? So you're still connected. We could take this also to the screen that in spite, if there is a lockdown, you can't travel to family members, well, then there is the internet, right? So there's still a common denominator. There's FaceTime and Skype and whatnot, so we could still, thank God, stay connected. On a happier note, for those of you who have an April wedding, look at this. Okay, partnership, coming together, marriage and whatnot, engagements, and it's in the 5th house. This area is all about love and romance and joy and self-expression, the things that we love to do when we have downtime. Some of you might enter into new agreements and so forth. 6th house is all about health. Your health, you're thinking back to the past memories. And the 6th house in your chart also represents your day-to-day schedules. Okay, so things might be changing up for you. Maybe now you're going to start being able to implement some of the things that you thought about in the past, didn't have time to. Maybe now you have this extended time on your hands where you could take some of those dreams, those memories, and implement it into your day-to-day life. Relationships, whether this is your significant other, or if this is any partnerships, people you work with, close to, one-on-one, well, it's a little frazzled energy right here. You can see how people are talking, maybe even gossiping, right? Or everybody coming forward with their thoughts or maybe their solutions to something. They might be sharing, why don't you do this? Or maybe you could do that. And it just might be, some good thoughts about how to stay healthy, right? Or how do we work together without getting too close? No more handshakes, maybe not even any more knuckle shapes, right? Oh, and I did see a very funny little meme on Facebook where, okay, no more handshakes, no more fist shakes or fist bumps. What they were doing now, what they were bumping their feet together, saying hello. So that's a funny little meme. But yes, there's just a lot of talk going on. 8th house is all about money again, but not like your 2nd house over here with money and income. This is more savings, investments, and so forth. Retirement and things that you might get as promotional monies as well. Well, the sun is here, so if it's been a little strenuous earlier, and we do know that for those of you on the stock market, some of that went down there in February and March, but now we should probably start seeing that the sun is going to come back out, and so it looks like that is protected. The 9th house area is long distance travel and communication and people in faraway places, and you could see how, yes, you are emoting for those who live in certain places where there is quarantine, might still be some quarantine, and it's also long distance travel. So some of you might have had thoughts, plans to travel, maybe to Europe, other countries, and you're not quite sure yet if it's safe. And so you're hunkering down. That could be smart. It's showing here for you that, with the face mask and everything on and holding your hands away from anybody close to you, well, might not be the safest time as of yet to start traveling. We don't know how long this virus is going to last, right? So this was very telling, very, very telling. Wouldn't travel internationally quite yet. Let's take a look at your career. That is what we have up here. Some of you are now looking into how you could make your next steps, right? Shedding light on, is there a new job, whether within the company, or should I probably look outside the company, find a different path, or how can I work with my career? Is there another way to work? So some of you might be shedding some light on, can you work from home due to the situation, the lockdown now? So we're going to see where that goes when I put the other rounds down, right? But this is the foundation of it. 11th house is hopes and dreams. It's also our friends, circle of friends. It's groups and organizations. Look at this. So there's victory here as far as moving forward, okay? And it's in the area of groups and friendships and so forth, standing strong, taking the precautions that are needed, feeling victorious about it. So this is looking awesome. And the 12th house is the subconscious area. It's also the spiritual area of life. So the Nine of Pentacles is you. Now, feeling that you have taken good steps, right steps to secure your individuality, to secure your family, like we're seeing down here, where you might be apart from them, but you're still connected, right? So I'm feeling that this is starting to go good, that we should start hearing some good news already early April. So let's take a look at the next two rounds. Now it can look a little messy because there's going to be a lot of cards. Don't worry, I'm going to walk you through it. But let's see where this is going to go. So, yeah, that's the evolution of putting down more than just one card. Now we can see the expansion of, there we go. Okay, so first house, where we saw that you were balancing your values and so forth, that's over here. You're going to be talking a whole lot to a female, all right? And there's changes coming up with this female. So she might just be adding to what she thinks about this. This is somebody you're going to be talking a lot with. And again, I feel it has to do with the pandemic, because we're looking at the virus, we're looking at the changes. We're also looking at the possibility of loss of money around the world. And I think the impact, more than the virus itself, is the impact it's going to be financially around the world. Okay, businesses losing money, events are closing down, schools are closing down, airplanes are closing down. There's going to be some loss. So it's going to be more of a financial loss here. And I see that you're discussing that. But you're also now going to be looking at how to strengthen your own income. And we saw that that was good, right? So there's a lot of communication coming in for you. There's also quite a few of you that are going to be looking at how to expand the foundation of what you're already doing, right? So that could be within the company you're working. This could be you working from home, or looking at how you can add to the foundation of structuring your finances. So it's going to be a big month for money. We're going to look at that when we come up here to the 8th house as well. But don't worry too much financially. Then we have your community. We got your siblings and communication. Well, I could see here too. There is some thought of travel. We talked about that up at the 9th house too. 3rd house is also travel, but more like short distance. So there is somebody either coming, or you might be planning on you going to visit somebody. Maybe you have a brother, or it could be a father figure, but somebody who's out of town or out of state. And you might be thinking whether to wait, to go as planned, or maybe to set it off just a little bit. Cultivate time a little bit more to see whether it's safe enough to go. But you're going to be communicating with this person, so it's all working out. Then, as far as home and family, I do see that that's good. I see you being busy. We got action cards here. We got the Page of Swords and Knight of Pentacles. That's you taking action. One with communicating what is important to focus on. What actions to take. This could be you, with your children, setting them up to protect themselves and move forward in secure ways. Okay, it's all about not being frazzled, but being safe, being smart, right? So that communication is going out. And we're all learning from this pandemic how we can interact, not just now, but how we can interact. I think it's turning a dial for us collectively of how we can interact with each other in the future, should something like this happen again. So I think that is really good. Now the 5th house for love and romance. Those of you who are planning on getting married or engaged, well, the good news is you're moving forward with that. This is a wonderful month. I see a lot of excitement here. So you're working towards building that good security of love and romance for the future. So you'll see how that's going to open up. And if you're single, well, you might just meet that special, significant other this month. So keep your eyes peeled and see who it is that's going to show up for you. But this is looking really good. And as far as your day-to-day routines, also health, well, we should be getting some good news internationally as well. As I speak today, Italy is really in a bad shape, not just with their lockdown, but they've jumped up some 200% just in the last 24 hours. But it looks like we should start hearing news about containment as we enter into April, that we're starting to get a grip, and it might still take a little time before we can be totally secure. But this promises well. And I really love to see that when I did the astrological forecast. So this is kind of validating what we were seeing, what the planets were doing. Okay? So when we have both of them supporting one another, that just makes me feel very, very secure. So let's take a look at your relationships. This is partnership. We saw that first. There's going to be a lot of talk. Everybody giving their 2 cents worth of information and ideas of how to now interact with each other, what is safe, what isn't, and you'll find a good balance. You are probably being a little, I won't say insecure, but perhaps more so worried. You know, what happens if your partner is out working in a place where it's super crowded with people? You know, it's you making sure that he or she doesn't pick up something. And what goes for the one will go for both, of course, right? So it's just precaution within your relationships right now. We have to all be careful of one another, right? So it's not just within the relationship, but this is now. And then we'll see how we know that good news is coming in. So this is your 8th house, so not necessarily your income, but it's more your investments, right? The 2nd house showed income. The 8th house is more about your investments. They can start picking up. You might see that it wasn't that scary, that there wasn't those huge losses. Some, yes, but you know what? It's to pick up and move on. And if you're smart, you probably just left your stocks where they are. That can turn around. The worst thing we can do is just drop it out of fear, you know, and then we definitely will lose. So just hang in there, see where it's going. Already by April, within the month of April, there should be some good news that things are starting to pick up and move forward. As far as international travel, the 9th house, which is higher education, international travel, and spirituality, is represented by this area. Well, we saw that some of you might have to just sit it out. You may, and maybe cancel for a while until a little bit later. But look at this. I believe there's certain things that are going to open up again for us before April is over. Here's the good news. Here's the green light. Everything coming together, allowing people now to travel more. So I don't think this is going to be lingering for months and months and months onwards. But for right now, here in March, coming into April, yes. But then springtime is opening up. So it won't, if you have to delay, it's not going to be a really long, long delay. Now, springtime can reach into May, right? So at least by end of May, we should be good to go. Now, let's look at your career. This was you looking into things, shedding some light over whether you could work differently or there could be new things coming into you for you. And I just dropped the card. So whatever it is that you're doing your research on now, this is good. For those of you who are thinking you'd like to leave, you will celebrate, okay? And you're turning your back to something old, something that feels completed. And I believe a lot of you started feeling this maybe in, say, November, December and January might have felt a little tight, that you were done with what you came to do and now longing for new aspirations, new goals. You will find that. All right, so if things were a little slow, January, February, even into March, also don't forget we had Mercury retrograde, which is now lifting, right? So we're going to start seeing how things are going to be moving ahead. Your hopes and dreams? Well, look at this. Victory. Victory over what? This victory is showing that whatever has been difficult, and we just mentioned that, the last few months when Saturn and Pluto were conjunct might have been a challenge where you must have felt somewhat tired, stressed out, things weren't going your way. How long is this going to last, right? Where there was several attempts to reach your dreams. Well, hey, look at this. We have bingo here in April. Things really moving forward beautifully. So, patience is a virtue, as they say. Sometimes it's difficult to hang in there when you're feeling like this, of course, right? But once we get through it, then we'll see that nothing was in vain. Now we come out with a beautiful, beautiful sense of victory, and the 12th house to end this reading. It's what you've been waiting for, guys. Where you've been patient, temperate, right? Waiting for something just to open up. And I know that a lot of you were feeling like you were bursting at the seams for change. Where is change? How can we get out of that oppression that we saw up here in the 10th house, to see that things are starting to move up? Well, be ready for it, because here we see an unexpected surprise, right? And it might even come from a place where you didn't expect it. You might have been working over in a different area with nothing coming to you, and then suddenly this is going to open up. So I love that. I love those kind of surprises. So listen, guys, if this worked for you and you were happy to have the 36 card reading, absolutely hit like, just so I know where you guys are at. Let me have a feeling of it, and I will do this for you again next month. And for those of you who want to have a one-on-one reading with me, just reach out, contact me on Facebook, just pop me a little text there, and I'll set up a phone reading that you and I can meet and talk and see what is in your cards, right? So listen, guys, don't forget to subscribe. I will see you next month. So have a good one. Wishing you the best. Much love.